Today I am going to explain truly the theory of everything. I am going to get into who human beings really are, what the two greatest cover-ups in human history is from all of my remote viewing throughout all space and time in human history, which is massive. And we are also going to talk about the significance of human beings, the purpose of life itself, and also how we can reverse age, which is crazy. So let's get into it. Let's start. No further ado. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or hop on over to my website, elizabethapril.com, for so many videos beyond what I share here on YouTube or on Instagram. Okay, so let's just hop into it. We've got the Epstein files, we've got global wars, we've got suffering, we've got, corruption. We have weird weather events happening. We've got global financial crisis. Like, we've got a lot of shit happening on planet Earth. And there's also a lot of agendas and a lot of conspiracies. And of course, if you've been on my channel, you know that I love diving into conspiracies. I love exploring agendas. And the reason why is because I love understanding the truth behind the illusion, behind the programming, behind the projection, behind what they want us to believe. I'm a curious individual, but I'm also skeptical. And since the first time I hopped out of my body and could just go over to the next room to creep on my roommate in college, I have had some really big questions. And through my own self-directed remote viewing experience, I have been able to answer a lot of humanity's biggest questions. And today I am going to pull in so much information and answer these questions for you. So hang on to your bootstraps, all right? Every conspiracy, every agenda, every cover-up, every distraction, every false flag event right now is covering up the biggest piece of information that I have revealed and seen. And look, not everyone agrees with me on this information, and that's totally okay. Before we dive into everything, I just want to say, please take it or leave it. I cannot personally expect that anyone is going to believe anything I have to say because they don't have direct firsthand experience with this knowledge and information. That being said, if it resonates with you, then it's for you. If it doesn't resonate with you, then it's not for you, and that is totally okay. Just take it or leave it. As always, everything I'm about to tell you has been directly remote viewed by me. I have not read this from a book. I have not watched a documentary. I have not been told by someone else. I have directly remote viewed it. But like I said, take it or leave it. I think that there's going to be a lot of questions answered. Let's start with the first massive cover-up that not everyone agrees with me on. And let's just say it like it is. This entire world is run by an off-planet civilization, right? We've got the Epstein files, we've got things like, obviously, human trafficking, we've got cannibalism, we've got ritual abuse, we've got a lot of disturbing pieces of corruption coming out, and everyone is saying right now, how could humans do this to other humans? Well, guess what? They're not. These are not humans doing this to other humans. These are reptilian beings doing this to us for a variety of reasons, okay? And I want to get into the deep history of the reptilians for you to better understand why they're here and why it's such a cover-up and why they actually resent us and why they feel like this planet is their own. Okay, so let's get into that. Now, one of the reasons why the the existence of extraterrestrials has been covered up. I mean, we could all say very generally that one of the biggest cover-ups on planet Earth is the existence of aliens or extraterrestrials. Yep, NASA is lying. You know, I think we all know that. I don't believe that we're on a flat Earth. I know a lot of people believe that too, but the reason why the existence of extraterrestrials has been covered up is because if it was a known fact, then people might catch on to the fact that we've been controlled by a race of extraterrestrials for some time. Not to mention they wouldn't be able to control us with religion such as Catholicism in the same way that they do, because we might start questioning, well then who are the angels? Well then who is the devil? Well then who are demons? Well then, you know, what are the things that came from the sky? You know, who is God, right? Who actually created us? So there are many reasons why they've been covering up the existence of extraterrestrials. I believe that religion, control, but ultimately it comes down to the fact that reptilians are behind the shadow government. They are behind the wars. They are behind the cannibalism. They are behind the Epstein files. It is not humans doing this to other humans. In fact, if humans were to consume other humans, there's actually a disease that you can get, and you would die quite easily from consuming human flesh, okay? That being said, when reptilians consume humans, I know it's disturbing, but whatever, it's the truth, and I've seen it, and I've seen it throughout human history. This is not a new thing. This is not a new thing, okay? When reptilians consume humans, whether it's their blood or their flesh, our flesh, they reverse age, right? They reverse age. Funny enough, I've been seeing this meme going around on Instagram, and it's like Ellen DeGeneres, and it's like, you know, my youthful appearance when consuming babies, and it's like her and like looking all youthful, and then like, you know, when the adrenochrome stops, right, and it's her looking all old, which is just, for me anyway, because I've seen this for such a long time, it's wild that this is even a meme. Like, it's wild that other people are even catching on to the truth, okay? That is the number one. There's two big cover-ups. The number one biggest cover-up is that the entire world is being run by reptilians. Like I said, not everyone believes that. I was on Coast to Coast a couple nights ago. We had some callers come in, you know. No one knew who I was, which was awesome because I love hearing from people who just don't know my content. Everyone was like, yeah, I can definitely get on, you know, the train of like clones exist and cloning is real, but reptilians, no freaking way. It's like, all right, cool. We're not there yet, but like we're getting there. All right, so let's just talk about the history of reptilians, why they're here, who they are, and why they believe this planet is their own, and why they hate human beings so much. And then we're going to go into the second biggest cover-up, and it's going to explain who you are and why you're here, and to be honest, the entire purpose of life itself. So it's going to be pretty epic. All right, history of the reptilians. From what I've seen in my own remote viewing journey, going all the way back to ancient human history, like we're not even talking ancient human history, we're talking like, you know, pre-Neanderthal history, okay? Like 500, 600,000 years ago. The reptilians came from another place, okay? They were not evolved here, let's say. They came from off-planet, they landed on this planet, and they were immediately the most advanced and the most intelligent species and race and civilization on planet Earth. Eventually, the dinosaurs came around. They were the most intelligent, most dominant species on the planet when the dinosaurs were here. And at that point, some of the reptilians, a lot of the reptilians, so they're quite large. They're about 8 to 10 feet tall. They're green. They have a variety of shades of green. Sometimes they're light green scales. Sometimes they're darker, like almost like a dark, deep, like mossy green scales. Their facial features can change as well. From what I've seen, sometimes they have spikes on them and sometimes they don't, almost like little horns around them. Sometimes they don't. Some of them, depending on sort of, I guess, where their evolutionary race or species came from. Some of them have tails, like we're talking like big, long tails, and some of them even have wings, and some of them don't have tails or wings, and they're more humanoid, okay? Really long, gross tongues, like just super, super long tongues. It's like, I don't even know how that tongue can fit in your mouth. I don't know if it rolls up or something. It's bizarre. So they came here like a long, long time ago. They were here for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, this giant humanoid race popped in to planet Earth. This would be considered the giants that were talked about in the Bible. Some call them the Nephilim. Some people call them the Anunnaki. Oh, sorry. I dropped my mic. Okay, and I don't know where the... All right, hold on. Let me reattach my mic. Okay, perfect, sorry. So the giants, the Nephilim, the Anunnaki. So what I saw anyway is these giant humans. So when I remote viewed this, which was back in 2010, I didn't know that there was even a race called the Reptilians. So I called them dinosaur beings. Or dinosaur humans, because that's what they look like to me. I didn't have a name for them. And then I called the other ones the giant humans, because that's what they look like to me. So at the time, what I saw is that the reptilians were here. Then this giant race of humanoid beings came here. They wanted to extract resources from planet Earth. And in order to do so, they started doing it themselves. They didn't have enough of their guys or their men or their resources or their giants or whatever. So they started asking the reptilians if the reptilians could help them extract these resources on planet Earth. The reptilians were like, no freaking way, we're not gonna work for you. Like, that's ridiculous. So then the Anunnaki ended up taking like a very sort of archaic version of human beings, sort of like the, what are they called? Not Neanderthal, but before then. Anyway, I'm not an archaeologist. And so they spliced their DNA with this like early form of human being, and they created sort of the first generation of humans, which were really just created from the Anunnaki to be slaves. And one of the most predominant things that I saw was that these like humanoid slaves couldn't reproduce on their own, okay? And they were created this way to minimize our population, right? To make sure that we couldn't just go off and breed and, you know, get out of hand, right? So eventually, after like the first generation, the second generation, the third generation, there was like quite a few generations, obviously, of the first renditions of human beings. Then the Anunnaki did not have enough resources. They still needed to extract these resources on planet Earth. They weren't creating enough slaves to essentially do what they wanted to do. So they gave us the ability to reproduce or recreate or procreate on our own, which was a huge step in our progression. At that point in time, the reptilians were like, hey, you know, you just created this whole civilization on our planet. We want to be involved. So the Anunnaki helped the reptilians, from what I saw, splice their DNA with human beings. And so now, like, what I saw was like, eventually, so later down the line, the Anunnaki were looked at as like the gods because they were quite technical, quite advanced. They had advanced technology. And then the reptilians or the dinosaur beings were looked at as the, like sort of the managers, like slave owners or slave drivers or like managers of the humans. That was the dynamic for quite some time. Fast forward to ancient Egypt, it was such a cool scene, okay? So at this point in time, you have the pyramids, like the three big main pyramids, and I'm observing ancient Egypt, and all of a sudden this giant UFO comes down. Like, we're talking like it blocked out the sun for all of ancient Egypt, and then there were a couple of smaller UFOs around it. And at the time, we had not only the Anunnaki, we had the reptilians walking around, like fully walking around. And then we also had the blue avians, or like the bird-like people, who were also walking around. There was a couple of different sort of species that were around at that time. So these giant spaceships come in. This is what I see in my remote viewing. And the spaceships were embodied by the Galactic Federation, right? So an organization of extraterrestrials that are, I guess, are like the good guys. Like they're kind of like the governing body for this galaxy. And they came down and they basically said this message to ancient Egypt, but really to the entire civilization of the planet. And they said, you can no longer interfere and you can no longer be seen by human beings. Like essentially, you've got to get off this planet. You can't interfere with their progression anymore. At that point, the Anunnaki were like, yeah, no worries. We're out of here anyway. We got what we wanted a long time ago, and we've just kind of been hanging around since then. So the Anunnaki left the planet very easily. The Reptilians at that time said, absolutely not. We are not leaving planet Earth because this is our planet. I mean, we were here first, and then the humans were created, and we're not leaving. Like, we're not going to go. I will say that there was a portion of Reptilians who left. They're like, yeah, like, I think it's about time for me to move on. So there was a small portion of Reptilians who did leave the planet at that time. Most of them stuck around. And then there was a division, okay? And the division within the Reptilians was the majority of them, I would say like 80 to 90% of the Reptilians on planet Earth at that time, they went underground. They were forced underground by the Galactic Federation. They were no longer allowed to intervene, and they could not be seen by humans. The other like 10% of Reptilians were absolutely pissed. They were angry. This 10% marked sort of the leaders or the royalty of the Reptilians, okay? So like the upper echelon of the Reptilians at that time. And they decided, they basically came up with this plan. They utilized their technology, both like technology as you think of it in like our sense, but also like biological technology. Like reptilians have the ability to shapeshift, kind of like a chameleon. So they started to develop this technology, this biological technology, to be able to shapeshift into human form, okay? And then there was also full human possession or full human takeover as well. They could only take over a human body if that human had high amounts of reptilian DNA, okay? So this essentially started, this, you know, them being sort of pushed underground, not to interfere with humans anymore. It started this progression of like a silent takeover and a silent control mechanism. Before that point, humans were taken over. Humans were controlled for quite some time. I will say leading up to that moment, there was also many other extraterrestrials that came to planet Earth to also splice their DNA with human DNA. I know it sounds crazy, but this is going to get into my next big exposure of the next biggest cover-up on planet Earth. The Pleiadians came during ancient Lemuria. The Angelics came before and during and after ancient Lemuria and Atlantis. The Greys came and started splicing their DNA with our DNA. So from what I believe, we have at least 15 to 20 different extraterrestrial species and DNA within us, which leads me to my next biggest cover-up. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the first biggest cover-up on planet Earth is that we have all been run and controlled by reptilians. And I want to mention something that was I was so angry when I found all of this out in 2010, and clearly like no one knew, and I just wanted to yell it from the rooftops, but I also felt like I wasn't safe doing that, you know? My biggest question back then, and we'll get to like the next big cover-up, sorry. My biggest question back then was, how is this allowed? How is this possible? There is the law of non-intervention. There is the universal law of free will. How can they do this? Like, this is not right. Like, there's a Galactic Federation. Why isn't the Galactic Federation putting an end to this? I get it. I get, if you're angry, I get it, because I was angry, and every couple months I get angry too, and I storm over to the Galactic Federation to give them a piece of my mind. I call it a human tantrum because it just fucking pisses me off. All right. Okay. Gonna compose myself. There's two reasons why the reptilians can get away with their crimes against humanity. One is their crimes against humanity were actually a part of humanity's contract to experience polarity, and not only a contract to experience polarity, but a contract to experience the lowest vibrational frequencies through our DNA, which is reptilian DNA. I know, right? Whatever. We all have reptilian DNA within us. Some have more than others, but we also have Pleiadian DNA and angelic DNA and gray DNA and a lot of different DNAs, okay? When we dip into drug abuse, when we drink a lot of alcohol, when we become depressed, when we become materialistic, when we become greedy, when we become judgmental, when we become attached, when we become, you know, whatever it is, those lower frequencies, we dip into a low frequency and we end up expressing more amounts of reptilian DNA. We utilize our reptilian brain, which is the fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms. It is the survival mechanism in us, all right? So one is they were, because they're not anymore, and that's very recent change, they were allowed to do these crimes against humanity because humanity needed to experience the darker version of polarity, right? And the reason why we needed to experience the dark side of polarity is to understand what we don't want. Hopefully, we can all make that choice, okay? The other reason why reptilians were allowed to get away with their bullshit for such a long time, right? Hidden in plain sight, mind you, is because, and this literally came to me as a huge download like fucking 4 nights ago. I woke up in the middle of the night and the words that came to me, and I actually put it in my recent painting, which is like this like cool yin yang type of painting. Anyway, I got to get the words again. Consent through, oh my God, why I'm sweating now. What is the other word? Consent through contentment? Oh my God, I'm missing the words. It's literally written in my painting. Consent through complacency. Compliance through complacency. Yes. Consent through compliance. Something like that, okay? Essentially what happens is they're allowed to get around the law of free will because we are compliant. We consent through our compliance, which basically means they're all telling us, all the Illuminati, they're giving us the information. It is truth in plain sight, and we are agreeing to it through doing nothing about it. Actually, that was a very recent Galactic Federation summit that just came through as well. All we have to do is stand up and say no. We don't have to picket on the street. We don't have to protest. Believe it or not, we don't have to sign petitions. All we have to do internally, energetically, is say, I do not agree to human trafficking. I do not consent to crimes against humanity. I do not consent to what you're doing to children. I do not agree with this, and it is no longer okay. It's like we've all been so disillusioned. It's like we've all been so stuck in blissful ignorance that we've missed the plot. We have been compliant, right? That's it. We just have to say no, energetically, internally. Okay, So that's the biggest cover-up. That's why they can get away with things and our free will. They also do a lot of predictive programming. So they'll give us a movie about the end of the world, and then we're all like, yeah, that's probably going to happen. And then it freaking happens, and it's because we're observing it, and they understand quantum physics more than we do in the fact that as we focus on something, and especially when we emotionally react to something, we fucking end up creating it. Stop focusing on what you don't want, both individually and collectively. You are consenting to their programming. You're consenting to their bullshit. You're okay with it because you're compliant, okay? All right. Here's the second biggest cover-up on planet Earth, and I've already alluded to it. Ready? That's crazy. It's crazy shit. Humans are hybrids. We're not human. We're not third dimension. We're not simple. We're not contained within space and time. We are incredibly powerful hybrid beings. We are the prophecy planet. We are a giant fucking experiment for many different extraterrestrials. We have some of the highest vibrational DNA within us. Likewise, we have some of the lowest vibrational DNA within us. We only use something like 8% of our brain. We only use like 10% of our DNA. How is it that we have 90% junk DNA? Yeah, no, don't worry about it. No, it's cool. Yeah, no. Scientists, like, they check that shit out, and it's just junk. Like, we don't need it, right? Like, we don't need it. And if we're in a lower frequency, we're only expressing 10% of the DNA traits that we have. What if we expressed 20% of our DNA? What if we used 15% of our brain? Like, come on, right? Why aren't we asking these questions? The second biggest cover-up is that we are hybrids. And the thing is, right? These reptilians, they're fucking scared of us. They want to spray aluminum and barium in our skies. They want to put that shit in our water. They want to put it in our food. They want to dull us down so that we don't question the nature of reality, and beyond that, we don't question how powerful we actually are. As we're getting hit by solar flares, the frequency on planet Earth is shifting and changing. And as it's shifting and changing, our DNA traits are opening up. We are becoming more sensitive. But with that sensitivity is more mental health, more depression, more fucking anxiety, right? Which is also keeping us low. We need to understand how to navigate this reality in a quantum sense, in an energetic sense, okay? The history of human beings is that we did not naturally evolve to this state. And the majority of the technology we have going on around this planet is actually reverse engineered extraterrestrial technology. And just like reptilians have gotten away with their crimes against humanity by influencing us without us even knowing it, guess what? Organizations like the Galactic Federation have been influencing us this entire time since the dawning of humanity without us even knowing it, because highly intelligent, highly advanced extraterrestrial beings have decided to incarnate as humans. And by doing so, we lose all of our memories. And yet that's the sacrifice we choose to take in order to give all of our knowledge and information and light and love and compassion and non-judgment to the rest of humanity, to show them the way, to show them what you fucking could do if you were to actually unlock some of the greatest DNA traits in your system, in your biology. It's in your body. You are special. You are not normal. You are not just this simple, ignorant human being, okay? You're pure magic. I mean, look at Jesus. I believe that Jesus was someone who accessed higher states of vibration, literally unlocked DNA within his biology, most likely Pleiadian, angelic DNA, that allowed him to defy the laws of physics. That's how powerful we are. He could walk on water. He could levitate. He could heal the blind. I believe he did those things. Okay? No, I'm not religious. I simply believe that Jesus was a galactic volunteer. And I believe that Christ consciousness is coming back. I believe that Jesus is coming back, but not in the way that we assume. That power, that energy, that compassion, that unconditional love, that frequency is coming back, boom, into all of us. We get to do that. You want to know how? I'll tell you how, okay? 2 things. 1, fucking believe it. Quantum mechanics states that our belief, our focus, creates the reality around us. Whatever you believe, you render. That's science, guys. That's not fucking manifestation woo-woo. That's the truth. Believe that you're powerful. Believe that you've got dormant DNA, because you do, because it's fucking science. I'll fill in the blanks for you. Yeah, it's aliens, but it's science, okay? You can unlock your dormant DNA simply by vibrating higher. I know, it sounds fucking crazy, but it's true. And your soul fucking knows it. And you're here watching this because you know it's the truth. And your body's getting chills because you know it's the truth. Believe it, and you will start to experience it, okay? Second thing I recommend, raise yourself to the next vibration simply through more appreciation and gratitude. I'm serious, guys. The fact that you can even watch this video means that you have access to the internet, means that you're better off than like 20% of the entire world. The fact that you can turn on your tap and have clean water, relatively clean water, right? Despite the fluoride or whatever the fuck, that says everything, okay? A lot of the world doesn't have that. You have a roof over your head. Sure, you're struggling financially, but hey, are you hitting up Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or maybe some Tim Hortons? Sure, okay. You have privilege, guys. There's so much to be grateful for. Walk by a blooming flower and just fucking stop for a second and realize how beautiful life is. And the more that you can do that, the higher your vibration goes. Every single time you can appreciate and hold gratitude, you are accessing higher states of vibration, which is literally unlocking your biology. Wake the fuck up. Whether you're a starseed or a galactic volunteer or not, your human body is a hybrid experiment of many different extraterrestrials. And the fucking reptilians know it, and they're scared. You, my friend, are Superman before Superman realized who he was. Stop playing fucking games with yourself. Step into your power. And if you want a new job, focus on a new job. If you want a new partner, a better life, more money, focus on what it is that you want. Focus on the fact that you already have it, because it's a timeline that exists. Understand that you are that powerful. Stop playing games. Stop limiting yourself. Stop thinking that you're unworthy. That is all from me. Guys, if you want to know more about everything I just talked about, including your soul mission, the different hybrid races, species, personality traits, even physical characteristics of different extraterrestrial hybrids, literally it's all in this book. You're not dying, you're just waking up. And if you want to know how to navigate your new extrasensory abilities, this is the book for you. Your anxiety is giving me anxiety. And that is all from me. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with other truth seekers, because everyone needs to know this right now.